Welcome, this is Zon with Repro Products. Today's video is on Bluebeam Revu 2017 and some of the extreme only features found in that version. As you know, Repro Products has been in the business for well over 35 plus years. We have multiple divisions and multiple areas that we focus in on. We are resellers and partners with Xerox, Canon, OSE, and several other companies. We sell and support all of our printing and multifunctioning devices, as well as wide format machines and plotters. We have a full printing production downstairs that prints all of your small and large format printing needs. We have an Autodesk software division where we are gold certified partners and we sell and support and teach all of the Autodesk products. We also have a laser scanning division that uses Faro scanners, and we can come out to your job site to scan the area and create a 3D digital cloud file for you. We have a sister company called the Color Spot who also works and functions with vehicle graphics, signage, wayfaring, and things like that. If you are local, try to head over to our office when you can and ask for a tour. Anybody who's working here can stop what they're doing and give you a quick tour of our facility. Now, when we talk about Bluebeam Revu, there are actually three versions of Revu. There's Standard, CAD, and Extreme. The Standard is the base platform, and that's used widely for all different types of disciplines and different types of fields. And it gives you all the basics of creating PDFs and editing and marking them up. The CAD version does everything the standard version does, but it also includes add-ins with integration for AutoCAD products such as AutoCAD and Revit and Navisworks and a few other products as well. The Revu Extreme version is their top version, which contains all of the capabilities of Revu, and that's what we're going to focus in on for this particular video. When we want to look at the comparison matrix, if you head over to this website, it'll take you to Bluebeam's site and it'll give you a comparison chart between all the different versions. I do have this in Excel format if anybody needs it. And if we take a look at all of the top features found in the Extreme version only, you have optical character recognition scanning. That way your document can be searchable via text. We have automatic form creation, so instead of creating each of the check marks and boxes and radio buttons and text boxes and drop-down lists one at a time, you can actually use the automatic form creation button, and it'll help automate that process. In the Extreme version, you also have Excel quantity link, so you can take your measurements and link them to an Excel file and some of the cells within the Excel file, and it'll stay up to date. If you have to do a lot of scripting for multiple files, then you have that capability in the Extreme version. You also have batch, sign, and seal. So if you need to sign or seal your documents in a batch format, multiple sheets, multiple pages, multiple files, you can do so. You also have batch linking capability on the entire document and multiple documents at one time. And then lastly, you have batch slip sheeting, and that's where you have the ability to replace a sheet that is an old sheet with a revised sheet and transfer all the markups as well and stamp the previous ones as superseded. And this is done in a batch format in the Extreme version. So let's go ahead and jump into the software and take a look at some of these features. So here I am in Bluebeam Revu 2017, and the first file that I have open is a scanned image of a PDF of a Word document. And the reason I say it's scanned is if I look at it very carefully, it's actually pixelated and it's not actual font information coming from a vector-based file. And because of this, you cannot do a typical search of any text. However, since we do have the Bluebeam Revu Extreme version, we can go through the process of using optical character recognition. We'll head over to the Document tab of the ribbon, and the OCR command is here. we'll start the command. It'll default to using English. It will have certain default settings checked, such as correct skew, detect orientation, detect any text and images. You can also specify the document type that it's looking at. And so I'll say text documents for this particular instance. And we can tell it to OCR the entire document or whatever page range. Since this file is only one sheet, we just have that one. We'll click, and if you need to do more, you can always click Add to add additional pages and additional files. Click OK, and it will go through the process of running the OCR module. And when it's finished, it'll tell you it's finished. And now that we have that OCR'd, and we zoom in here, graphically it doesn't look any different. But I can head over to my search command and go under the text and search for things, say for example, marketplace, and hit enter. And I can see that it automatically finds it. And if I click in the search list down here on the lower right corner, you can see that the search result shows up, and if I select it, it'll highlight. The next eXtreme feature I'd like to show is the automatic form creation tool. Here I have a document that is a scanned image of a Word document that I found off of Google. And you can see very carefully it's just kind of pixelated and not very nice. But we have the ability to turn this into an editable form. The typical approach is heading to the Form tab in the command line and heading over to Editor. And once that's activated, we can use the commands for text box, radio buttons, check marks, list boxes, drop downs, and so on. Instead of manually going through the process of creating each box, for example here, here, and here, and boxes in the request, proposed solution, and response fields, this takes a little bit of time. And if your document is a multi-page document, it can take quite a bit of time to put that together. In the eXtreme version, in the same location under the Forms tab, you'll see Auto Create, and if you click it, it'll automatically figure out what it needs to put in and put in the data for you. So now that that's finished, I can use the tools if I need to and click inside the box and there's a check mark. Or click over here in this text field and start typing whatever I want, or this one, or this one. So the automatic form create command here helps with creating it very quickly and easily. It saves a lot of time. The next eXtreme features that I'd like to show is the automatic capability to create links and also to automatically use the AutoMark tools to label the page label sheets as well as the bookmarks. So we'll start with page labels. As you can see here in the thumbnail views, each one is named just a number. I'd like to change the names of those page labels to coincide with the actual number of the sheet and the name of the sheet. I can use this wizard tool right here and tell the software to look at the regions that I want. So for example here, I'll specify this region for the page number, and then I'll also add this area here for the name of the page. Clicking OK and hitting OK, it will run through the process of creating all the page labels based upon those two search field areas. And when it's finished, it'll show you in the thumbnails the names of all the page labels that have been altered. As you can see here, we have A00 General Notes, we have A110 First Floor Reference Plan, and since this particular title sheet doesn't actually have designation in the lower right corner, we can just use F2 and rename it whatever we want. For example, A0 title sheet. Now let's switch over to the bookmarks and do the same approach for bookmarks. I'll start the wizard, and instead of using the page region, I'll use my page labels since they're already created. Click OK, and all of the bookmarks are created, and I could jump to those pages quickly and easily. Lastly, let's look at batch linking. If you notice, some of the sheets have elevation and marker symbols, and it has designations here. I can use the batch linking feature to create all the links for the pages. The actual number here and that reference to that view has to be manually performed at this time. So I'll head over to the File tab, Batch, and I'll say Link, and I'll create a new one. I'll add the file that I'm working with, which is the sample AutoMark file, and since I don't need the other ones, I'm going to uncheck those. I'll click Next, and then I'll tell the software to take a look at the area I want to use for the linking that is in batch format, which is the actual name of the sheets. I'll click OK. I can head over to the settings of the scanning and tell it to use a filter if I need to. In this instance, I won't. I'll click Generate, and it automatically searches the entire document for all of these number designations for all the sheets. And it'll find them, and it'll tell you what the description is and where they're located. You can also specify under link options the color of the link and the line weight and the style. It can be solid, dashed, underline, fill, or highlight. For now, I'll just do highlight and I'll leave it as green. I'll click OK, and then I'll click Run. And in a few seconds, all of the hyperlinking will be created for all of those pages and those markers. And it says 66 hyperlinks created. I'll finish and close, and if I zoom over here, you'll see they're automatically created. I can click and it will jump to that particular page. If we double check another page, we can see down here they've got a link, and if I click this, it goes to that page. And here's one. And let's do one last double check. Over here it says 121 for that call out, and it takes us there. The next eXtreme version feature I'd like to take a look at and show is the sample batch sign and seal. So you have the ability to take the software and use it to digitally sign or stamp all of the sheets at one shot. In order to do this, we head over to the File tab of the ribbon, head over to Batch, and Sign and Seal. And it'll open up the Batch Sign and Seal window. We'll click Add, and click Add Files or Add Open Files. I'll click Add Open Files, and the two files that are currently open will be there. Since I don't need the Excel link file, I'll remove that one. I can save this batch process if I need to for later use. I'll click Next, and the Batch Sign and Seal window interface will open up. It'll give me the type of signature that I can use. It'll give me my digital ID that I've created earlier. I have to put in a password so that I can use it, otherwise it won't work. So give me 1 second. Now that I have it and it's logged in, I can specify that I'm the author of this document. In regards to the appearance, it could be standard text. It could be one that I made. If I click Edit, in here you'll see the title is called Standard Text, or I can call it whatever I want. I'm going to say Zon Ta Digital Signature, and I can specify the exact location and the alignment and the date and everything. As for the placement of it, I can select it here and I can move it wherever I want. So depending on the pages that you have to work with and what's contained on those pages, you may want to take a look carefully and figure out where you want to place it. So for example, if I switch to a different page, it'll open up that page, and there's an area over here that I think makes a lot of sense for most of the sheets because they're blank. That area should be blank. Yes, it is. So I can take that signature and I can move it over to that designated spot. And then when I'm finished, I'll click Done, and it'll run through the entire process of putting in that digital signature stamp on every single sheet. And when it's finished, we'll take a quick look at it. Depending on how many sheets that you have in your set or how many files you've asked the software to use this function on, the process may take quite some time. This particular file is 32 pages long, so it'll take a little bit of time to do. Now, I do know a lot of architects and engineers out there who work with sets that are much, much larger than this, 100, 200, 300 sheet sets. And you just have to be patient. That's the reality of it. And even if you have a very fast machine, that process still takes a little while. So I'm going to pause the video and wait till it's finished and come right back. So now that I'm back, you can see that it's finished its processes of uploading and processing all 32 pages of the sign and stamp feature. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the sheets and see where the signature lands. As you can see on the cover sheet, it shows right here, and because it's a cover sheet and there's no title marker sheet, it looks a little strange being placed right there. We can, however, look at some of the other sheets and see that they'll fit in the same spot that we told it to in the beginning. So let's head over to another sheet, say for example A00, and you'll see it shows up in the right corner. We click another sheet, it'll show as well. So as you can see, we can use this tool to batch, sign, and stamp the document quickly and easily. The next extreme feature is the ability to have your quantities linked to an Excel file. Here I have a PDF file and I've got some measurements created for the footings. If I take a look at that particular measurement and go to Properties, you'll see the author, the subject, and the label. The subject and the label is very important in the process of using your quantity Excel linking, and I'll explain in a second. If I open up the Excel file that I created that is linked to this particular file, you can see it here. Inside we have a couple blue cells that are the actual cells that are linked to this particular PDF file. We're telling the software that we want to create an Excel link for the cell for the total volume of slab, total volume of footing, and total volume of concrete footing with a specific 3500 psi. How is this set up? We select the cell, we right click, go to quantity link, and you'll see that there's a source file which has already been created and tied to that particular PDF file, this one here. If we right click the cell, we can edit this particular cell's linking capability, and it says it's looking at the volume of a label for a concrete slab. We also have this one for footing, and go to its window, and you can see it's looking at a volume for the label of footing, which is this particular markup here. This larger one here in red is the volume of slab. And then lastly, we have total volume of concrete footing that's based on 3500 psi. So it's looking at the volume, the label called concrete psi strength of 2500, and the subject of footing. I'm going to minimize my Bluebeam Revu window. That way we can see both the Excel file and the Bluebeam Revu window open up. And that way I can give you a live understanding of what's going on. Here we have on the PDF file a couple areas that need to be calculated out, some markups for the footing. So if I select this one and I hold the control key down, I can actually drag it and create another copy. So if I place it here, look very carefully in the Excel blue windows, cells, and you'll see that number update right there. And if we zoom into the PDF file, we can select it and we can adjust its position if we need to as well. So as we're making that kind of adjustment, you'll see your Excel file is updating. Let's head over to here, and we will head over to our tool chest, and we'll select this one, slab concrete responsibility, And let's say I decide to put in an area over here for measurement for concrete slab. You'll see the total volume of slab up here has now changed as well. And then lastly, if I select this particular markup and draw it, we can see concrete slab as well, and it'll adjust accordingly. The linking, if you will, from the PDF file to the Excel is a single direction. In other words, as you are creating the markup content in the PDF file, that data gets transferred over to the Excel file cells and updates accordingly. You cannot make changes to the cells here to force it to update back on the PDF file. The next feature that I'd like to show that is eXtreme based only is the batch slip sheet feature. Now, slip sheeting really in essence is when you take a particular page in a PDF file and you right click and you want to extract it out or slip in a revised sheet. Here I actually have a set that I've created with multiple sheets, and I can run the batch slip sheet process on this set as well. I head over to the File tab of the ribbon, Batch, and click Slip Sheet. It'll open up the Batch Slip Sheet window, and we can add the original files that we want. So I'll add these open files, just these 4. And then I'll add the revised files from my Bluebeam Studio project session location. And I'll head over to revision 1 and I'll grab these 4 files, click OK. And so it's going to tell the software to take these original 4, look at them, look at the markups, take a look at the revised ones, slip the revised sheets on top of the old ones and stamp the old ones as superseded, but also take the markups that are on the original current pages and transfer them to the revised pages. I'll click Match, and it'll go through this matching process to help you understand that it's looking at a 100 sheet and will match it to a 100 sheet of the revised. And if you have to adjust it, you can click each one and move them up or down to adjust. Here under the slip sheet settings, the default is to insert the revised pages before the current page and to stamp the as superseded for the current pages. I'll click OK, and it'll run through its process of working with those 4 pages. And again, depending on how many sheets that you have to work with and how many tags that you have and other aspects that you want to adjust, this might take some time. So here in the tags window, it's going to let you know that the original A100 sheet all the way down to the A501 sheet from the current set in not just the set file, but also in the original set has a revision number of 0. The new sheets, the 4 that we specified, A100, 101, 102, 103, are now being slip sheeted into it, and now it's going to be it now will have a revision number of 1, 1, 1, and 1 for each sheet. I'll click OK, and the process is finished. You'll see that it's going to apply those tags to those sheets as well. And when it's finished, we'll take a quick look. And it'll tell you how many sheets it used and how many did it slip sheet, and if there were any unmatches. It'll also create a report that's a PDF report. You can give it any name that you want and put it in any location that you want. So for now, I'll just put it in my temp folder. I'll click OK, and the batch summary is created. Now if I head back, you can see under the architecture category, the A100, 101, 102, and 103 sheets are now showing current sheets, and then behind it are the revised sheets that say superseded and has an X over it. And if we jump over to this one, you can see the revised sheet, the new one, is on top, and the revisions from the original one have been copied over. And that's the batch slip sheet feature within the eXtreme version, and those are some of the eXtreme only based features that you can get if you purchase that version. Thank you very much for watching.